I'm Dr. Omar Bey, and this is A Moment in Medicine. Our focus is health, education, and wellness. Our goal is for each and every one of us to have that opportunity to grow old in good health. Welcome to our show. Well, we have another good show for you today. And before we get into the meat of our show, what I'd want to talk about is our caring and sharing, because it's all about sharing with others. I so appreciate all of the emails and all of the tweets that I'm getting. Remember, www.medmoments.com and tweet me at medmoments. Alrighty. You know, another thing I was thinking about, I want to challenge each and every one of you out there. I want to challenge you that because our seniors, and it's so important. In my practice, I see so many seniors, and they always tell me how they need a little help with this or a little help with that. I'm going to challenge you. Just because you can, take a senior. If you have a senior that lives across the street and you cooked a great meal that day, take them a meal. If you're going to the grocery store, knock on their door and say, hey, would you like to come shopping with me? If you're going to the park and you know you're going to be out for the afternoon, take them to the park so they can get out the house. I challenge you, do it just because you can. Right on. What we're going to talk about tonight, we're going to talk about a very, very interesting topic, kidney disease. Matter of fact, we're talking about chronic kidney disease. And I have the perfect guest to talk about kidney disease. His name is Dr. Nando Palekar, and he's director of nephrology at Newark Beth Israel Medical Center. Dr. Palekar, welcome to our show.
Thank you, Omar.
All right. So here we go again, because you were on our show once before.
The first one.
Oh, that's right. It was the first one. And we so appreciated it, and we had such a good response, we had to get you back and talk about another aspect of kidney disease.
Thank you.
All righty. So, but I want to back up just for a minute. I want to just go over some of the basics so that the people who watch the show can truly understand what we're talking about when we talk about kidney disease. So, to step back, what do the kidneys do?
Omar, the kidneys are very important, and they do many different functions. But primarily, they do two important things. They get rid of the poisons in the body. See, every time you eat, you drink, the body digests that. And as in the process of digestion, you create these poisons that need to be eliminated. And the kidney eliminates those poisons. Just by living, you create these toxins that need to be eliminated, and the kidney does that. The other important thing the kidney does, it gets rid of the water from your body. So what you drink, you pass out in the urine. Otherwise, you'd be blowing like a balloon if you wouldn't.
Right, if you didn't get rid of the extra.
Right.
I hear you. Now, where are the kidneys? And how many of them do we have?
Most people will have two kidneys. The kidneys are located in the back below the diaphragm, they call it. They are located one on each side of the spine. They are the size of your fist, and they are located equidistant between the spine. So the spine is in the middle, the kidneys are on the side.
Right.
In the back.
What kind of diseases affect the kidney?
There are a lot of diseases that affect the kidney, but primarily in the westernized world, the most important disease is diabetes. And the second most important is high blood pressure. And then after that, there are numerous other diseases that can cause kidney dysfunction. Some of them are inherited. Some of them are things known as glomerulonephritis. Sometimes lupus will affect the kidney. Sickle cell disease will affect the kidney. People who use over-the-counter medications like Advil, Motrin, they can affect the kidney. Infections can affect the kidney. And illicit drugs can affect the kidney also.
Right. Now, if talking about things like heredity, if mom had kidney disease or dad had kidney disease, am I more likely to have a problem with my kidneys sometime in life?
See, there are some diseases that are inherited. If mom has polycystic kidney disease, it's an inherited disease.
Okay, polycystic.
Polycystic
You're hitting me with a few big ones over here. You gotta break it down for me.
Cyst is like a spear with fluid inside it.
Right.
So the kidneys are filled with this little spears, little holes with fluid inside them, and that's called polycystic. Poly is many, and cyst is that spear with fluid filled in it.
Gotcha.
So that disease is inherited, and if mother has it, then the chances are that if you have two children, one of them would have polycystic kidney disease. As compared to that, lupus is not inherited, but lupus happens in clusters of families.
Right.
There are certain individuals, certain families where lupus is likely to happen, but it's not inherited. Diabetes, in some cases, just if your parents are diabetes, you have a greater chance of being diabetic, and then that can lead to kidney disease.
All right then. Okay. Now I know that. Oh, question. Can you live with one kidney?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh.
A good, healthy kidney? Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
All right then. That was a question of mine. I always wanted to get that out. The difference. I know that if we really break it down, it's acute kidney disease and chronic kidney. Just
Right.
briefly, because I know we're going to get into it in more
Okay.
involved lately. Give me the differences
Okay.
between the two.
Acute kidney disease is short-lived. So when the kidney failure happens, it recovers, and it recovers usually within a period of 2 weeks. Whereas chronic kidney disease is slow, it's ongoing, and it doesn't ever recover. So you're left with the damaged kidney for the rest of your life.
Right, right. Now, if somebody was to walk in your office with kidney problems, how would they present? How would you know that they actually had a problem with their kidney?
First of all, they may not have any problems at all. They may not present with any problems. They may feel healthy, they may look healthy, they may do everything like a healthy person does, but they may still have kidney disease. But as the kidney disease advances, there's a slow decline in your vitality. You get tired a little easier, you sleep a little more, your appetite gets a little bad, food doesn't taste as good anymore. And all those things sort of come in gradually, that sometimes you don't even realize that you're not feeling good until it gets really, really bad. If the kidneys don't make as much urine, then fluid may accumulate in your body, and you may have difficulty breathing. Those kind of things will happen.
Okay. So what you're saying is that there's a good chance that there are people actually walking around out there with developing kidney disease.
Who won't know about it.
Don't know it.
Correct. In fact, Umar, I have seen so many patients present to the emergency room in complete kidney shutdown, and they had absolutely no idea about it. And you go there, you talk to them, and you give them the diagnosis, and they are shocked, they're surprised, angry, and they don't believe you have the time. But it is what it is, and kidney disease can be really silent.
What about obesity? I mean, obesity is such a problem in this country.
It is.
Does those patients that are obese, are they more likely to develop this problem?
Right. There are certain there's a particular kind of kidney disease that is linked to obesity. There's a technical name for it. It's called focal segmental glomerulosclerosis.
All right.
Forget the name. But as you get heavier and heavier, morbid obesity, you are likely to develop that disease. The other thing is, if you are obese, your blood pressure goes up, your diabetes is not controlled, your kidneys are working far more than they normally ought to work, and it all damages the kidney.
Right, right. All righty. And race. Are there certain races that will be more prone to kidney disease because of maybe different ailments that they may come in contact with, or whatever the reason?
I mean, if you really look at the data, national data of in the United States, you'll find that the highest incidence of kidney disease is in the African American population.
Right.
People have been looking for, searching for links and really why all this is happening, but clearly it is there. There is higher incidence of high blood pressure in African Americans. Diabetes is actually more prevalent. So yes, that's the population that is at very high risk for kidney disease. And then Native Americans are at high risk for kidney disease. And to some extent, Hispanics are at risk for kidney disease also.
All right. What about gender? Females as opposed to males? one or the other?
Men are more likely to have kidney disease. But if you really look at it, women live longer, right?
Right.
So as women live longer, they are also getting kidney disease, and they're presenting with kidney disease in equal numbers now.
Okay, okay. Are there particular risk factors that people should be aware of or try to stay away from or to prevent this? You understand what I'm saying?
Healthy lifestyle, Omar. See how much you eat, what you eat healthy, don't gain too much weight.
Right.
If you develop diabetes, you make sure that you control it pretty quickly and consistently.
Right.
If you develop high blood pressure, make sure that you, even if you need 5 medicines, you got to control the blood pressure.
Right.
And those are really, really important things. And don't do anything bad. No drugs, not even the over-the-counter Motrin, ibuprofen, those kind of drugs. They're not good for you. So you should stay away from those kind of things.
Right. So what you're saying is that if I have diabetes, then I should go to my doctor and I should make sure the blood sugars are in,
absolutely.
in control.
Absolutely.
Because if they're not controlled, that's more likely that I will develop secondary problems in other organs, and the kidneys are one of the organs that are affected, as well as high blood pressure.
Oh, high blood pressure too.
Alrighty. Let's just go and not go, but let's talk about chronic kidney disease now. And like, I'm sure there's a definition for chronic kidney disease, just to give very plainly what's the definition for it, because it's so important.
In plain language, the definition is that if there is a decrease in the function as shown by your tests, okay, and that decline lasts for about 3 months or so, okay, and particularly when you look at the urine, if there are abnormalities in the urine, like you would see protein in urine. Now, most people will not show protein in the urine, but if you have an abnormal kidney blood test, you have protein in the urine, and if it lasts for more than 3 months, you are likely to have chronic kidney disease. And you could also have blood in the urine. So all of these 3 things, if they persist for a period of time, it's likely you have chronic kidney disease.
Okay. So you were telling me that initially that the kidney is like a filter, and it filters out all the bad stuff.
Right.
So this filter that our body is using to make sure that we get rid of all the bad chemicals and stuff out of our body is not working now.
Correct.
So now we're losing some of our protein, which is very important to us.
Extremely important.
And our blood cells is leaking through and losing some of those as well.
Yes. I mean, the blood cells leak particularly if there's damage to the main filtering mechanism of the kidney.
Right.
And that causes the blood to leak out, and then you see it in the urine. You may not see it, but you can see it under the microscope.
Right. Okay. All right then. Now I understand that with chronic kidney disease, there are stages of going from mild all the way to renal failure, meaning that the kidneys just don't work anymore.
Correct. Kidney disease now has been defined in stages. It starts from stage 1, which is normal kidney function, then goes to stage 2, stage 3. Stage 3 is the critical time when if you don't intervene, then you are likely to progress rapidly into stage 5 and dialysis.
Okay.
So stage 3 is critical, and that's where you need to focus. I mean, if you can find somebody in stage 2, obviously you got to take care of that also, but most people will be found in stage 3.
Okay. Now, with the chronic kidney disease, you said the tissues of the kidney actually change. I mean, it's like a swelling, or well, not a swelling, but like the tissues change to like fibrous tissue and
they
stuff
scar
like that.
down. It's like a big scar.
Oh, it's a scar.
Yeah.
Okay.
So as the damage happens, the tissue heals, and you don't get the original structure. You get a scar, and as the scar gets bigger and bigger and bigger, you lose kidney function.
So the scar is abnormal tissue, so it doesn't do the job that the normal tissue should do.
Correct.
Oh, all right then. Okay. Now you were talking about high blood pressure and diabetes as far as factors that may cause kidney disease. Let's talk about some of the others. Things like what about? I know a lot of people get urinary tract infections. And so there's something called pyelonephritis. That's a big word too. But tell me about those, and can that lead to further problems.
If you have recurrent urinary infections, and it's not just a bladder infection, Omar. If the infection goes from the bladder all the way to your kidney, from the urinary bladder,
Right.
and if it happens again and again and again, yes, you will lead, that would lead to chronic kidney disease.
Okay, okay. And what about cancer? As far as, you have to think about that.
Right.
Everybody thinks about cancer.
Cancer.
Anything that's happening, do I have that big C word? you
Right.
know?
No, there are two types of cancer you would worry about. One is bladder cancer, which is more common in smokers, okay, and people who sometimes work with chemicals.
Right.
And then there is kidney cancer. Now, kidney cancer is not that common, and if it's found early, it's curable, completely curable. So, one of the signs for that is blood in the urine. So, if there is blood in the urine, you need to make sure that you check your bladder and check the kidney.
All right. Yeah. All righty. Now, is age a factor? I mean, do babies have problems with kidneys as well, or you know what I mean?
Babies can have problems, right? There is something known as reflux, where the urine, instead of as you urinate, part of it goes back into the kidney,
Right.
and babies don't have these valves that are developed really well and allow the urine to go back into the kidney from the bladder, and that's called reflux. Now, in most children, as they grow up, it gets better, but in some of them it doesn't, and it can cause permanent damage to the kidney. In addition to that, there are other diseases of the kidney that are seen in younger kids. Some of them are poorly formed urinary bladders, multiple congenital anomalies of the kidney, where the kidney is not structurally right.
Right. It wasn't formed right.
It wasn't formed right.
Right.
Yeah.
So.
And sometimes when you urinate, that passage sometimes gets blocked in kids. So that can cause problems also.
What about seniors? Because that's our population.
I know.
Grandma's coming, and she's got her diaper on.
Right. So the issue is that in men you have prostates.
Right.
So all of us are going to age, and all of us are going to have a prostate problem.
Okay.
So there is not one person in the world who, if he lives long enough, would not have a problem with the prostate.
Right.
In women, the problem is with the bladder, right? They have kids, so the bladder wall and the pelvic muscles get weak, and sometimes the bladder prolapses,
Right.
and you can get recurrent infections in the bladder. You become incontinent, and that is an issue.
Right. Right. Okay. Oh boy. Now, as far as I know with diabetes, and I know that there are other organs that are affected, and I think associated with kidney disease as well, like the eyes
Right.
and the nerves and stuff like that. How does that relate? I know with diabetics, if you can keep your sugar under control, it decreases the chance that this will become severe.
Right.
But with kidney disease, is there association as well?
There is. Look, now one thing you have to remember, that all these things take time, right? So all the problems that you see in uncontrolled diabetes sometimes take up to 8 to 10 years to manifest themselves. So one of the things that is closely related is diabetes affecting the eye and affecting the kidney at the same time.
Right.
So if there is diabetes in the eye and you have required laser treatment and things like that, there is likelihood that your kidneys may be affected also. So you need to then make sure that you check them.
Okay. What are some of the tests that you run to determine, like if a patient comes to you, what would you do to that patient to determine, number one, that they have kidney disease, but number two, what the severity of that
Right.
kidney disease is?
So there are three primary tests. Number one is a blood test. Okay, in the blood test you check something known as creatinine. Okay, so if the creatinine goes high, there is likelihood of kidney damage. The second thing you do is check the urine. If there's blood in the urine, if there's protein in the urine, then that is a marker of kidney disease.
Right.
And then you need to check the kidney, the structure of the kidney. So you send them for an ultrasound.
That's like a sonogram.
That's like a sonogram.
Yeah.
So the sonogram tells you how the kidneys look, if there's any damage to the kidneys, if there's any blockage in the kidneys, if the size of the kidney is right or not. So those are the things that are basic tools to evaluate kidney function.
Do you ever have to take a biopsy and look at
You
the
do.
tissue sometimes?
You do. You have to take a biopsy and look at the tissue if you have a large amount of protein in the urine or if you have a large amount of blood in the urine, particularly if you are not diabetic. So generally patients with diabetes would have a large amount of protein. But if you are not a diabetic and you have protein in the urine, you need a kidney biopsy.
Okay. I know that people with chronic kidney disease, there may be associated anemia.
Correct.
Or their blood counts may be down. Can you give us an idea of how that is related, how those two diagnoses are related, anemia and kidney problems?
Correct. So what happens in kidney disease is there is a lack of a hormone that is necessary to build red cells. And that hormone is known as erythropoietin. So anybody who has kidney disease stage 3 and onwards, they don't have enough of that hormone. And because they lack the hormone, they cannot stimulate the bone marrow to produce the red cells in sufficient quantities. So that's why we may have to supplement it, just like you give insulin for diabetes.
Right. So you actually give, what do you give? Do you give the erythropoietin?
Erythropoietin.
Okay, all righty. And what happens when these patients are anemic? I mean, are they short of breath? Are they listless? Or are they what?
They are listless. They are fatigued. They can get short of breath, and they're just not themselves. There's no energy, and that's really common in patients with really advanced kidney disease.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, we've come to a point where these patients are losing their kidneys, or the kidney disease is very bad. They're at that stage where, as you said, they passed that whatever stage is and they're on the downcline. Is there a way that we can turn that around? You know what I mean? Because if they lose the kidneys, once they're gone, I understand they're gone.
They're gone. So once you get to say stage 3, right, the only thing you can essentially do is to slow the progression of kidney disease.
Okay.
And you do that by controlling your diabetes, controlling your blood pressure, not doing anything harmful to the kidney,
Right.
and essentially following up with the physician regularly, and that's very important to do.
Okay. All right then. Let's go to a patient that has lost their kidneys. What do we have to offer them?
Right. So a patient who has lost their kidney function, there are two options. One is dialysis and the other is kidney transplant.
Okay.
There are two different kinds of dialysis. One is called hemodialysis, where the patients go to a dialysis center and are connected to a machine and they get dialyzed. The second kind of dialysis is something known as peritoneal dialysis, where we put a catheter in their belly and use the space in the belly to bathe the space and use that as a kidney. And that has to be done in the house every day. The other option is kidney transplant, and it's an excellent option. Again, there are two kinds of transplant. One is living related transplant, where somebody, a relative, a friend gives you a kidney, or a deceased donor kidney transplant, where somebody who has died somewhere would donate the kidney and then you would be matched for it. So those are the options that you have. And amongst all the options, a living related kidney transplant is probably the best.
Okay. Best meaning that they last the longest, or they function better, or what are we talking
They
about?
function better, they last longer, and they rehabilitate the patient much better.
You mean my physical being is like my color comes back, I'm rosy cheeked again,
Yep.
that type of thing.
Yes. Yes, you feel good.
Right.
It's almost like having your kidney back again. So that is the best kind.
Now, do these patients have to take medicines to make sure that the kidney is preserved
They
once
do.
they get that kidney?
They do, and they're going to be taking that medicine lifelong as long as the kidney is in them. And it is to prevent rejection of the kidney
Right.
that they have to take it.
Oh, all right then. Now, what about as far as dialysis is concerned? Because not everybody's going to get a kidney.
Correct.
I understand that the most common dialysis is the hemodialysis.
Hemodialysis.
That's the blood dialysis,
Correct.
right?
Correct.
How does that happen? I mean, and how often do you have to do it? And
The usual dose is 3 times a week. At every treatment, it's about 3 to 4 hours, depending upon your body size. And if you have a nice functioning conduit where you can get the blood out, it's called a fistula, then the dialysis time may be less. But if you have a catheter or a tube in your blood vessel from where you get the blood to give the dialysis, then the dialysis time could be longer.
Right.
So it's very important that you get that conduit in the arm.
Right, right. All righty. Well, you know, the thing of it is that there's just so many questions I have to ask you, and I'm going to change my format and ask just a few more questions, and because I usually have my let's talk moment, but this is so. Tell me about as far as the dialysis machine.
Right.
All right. What is that doing? Is that taking off fluid, or is it taking out the toxins of the body? What is that actually doing?
It's taking out both.
Okay.
Okay, it takes out the toxins and it takes out the water, right?
Right.
So, say in between two dialysis treatments, if somebody gains, say, 3 liters or say 6 pounds,
Right.
that 6 pounds is all water. It's not your body weight, it's not your muscles, it's not your tissue, it's all water. So within the 3 to 4 hours, the time that we have, the machine would remove those 6 pounds from your body.
Right.
Okay, and in doing so, they also get rid of all the poisons, all the toxins that are being built up. Now understand something, soon as you stop the dialysis, the poisons start building up again,
Right.
until the next treatment.
Okay, okay. We're going to have to end right here, and it's so I still have more questions, but we're going to end. Thank you so much for coming in and talking about this particular topic. Thank you very much, Dr.
Thank you, Omar,
Gallagher.
my pleasure.
All righty. Well, in closing, remember, sharing and caring. We really, really, really want you to email us and let us know what you're thinking out there. And you can tweet me as well. www.medmoments.com. Never institute any change in your medical therapy until you talk to your doctor. I trust each and every one of you continued good health. I'm Dr. Omar Bey, and this is A Moment in Medicine. Until next time, peace to you all. All righty, so it's very good. Very good, man.